information provided in this show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Viewers should use their own discretion and consult with a healthcare professional for personalized guidance and recommendations. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Health Revolution. I'm your host, Adriana Morrison. Our show is about engaging conversation, elevating health and wellness, and empowering transformation. So it's a lot more than what meets the eye. And we're so glad that you're here. So no matter which way you're tuning in from, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We would love to stay connected with you. Also, as we are moving through today's show, remember that at the bottom of the screen, you're going to find show notes and relevant information, some incredible takeaways that allow you to reference later on and go from there. So with that, we've had, this has been an incredible season so far. We're meeting some amazing people who are impacting the space that allows us to grow in so many different ways. And as we're doing this, we get the impression that there's going to be some challenges through life. And sometimes we find ourselves struggling. So the tools that we need to be set up for success are the ones that are going to have so much value. And this is why today's guest is important for us to tune into, because we've got some incredible information that we're going to learn about today. So in the space of healing, my guest today is Dr. Marcia Martin, and she's also known as the Heart Healer. So she is a spiritual empowerment counselor. She's a metaphysical minister, a best-selling author, a public speaker, and she's also a clairaudient angel communicator who specializes in helping people heal relationships with themselves. And so she truly believes by healing the heart of all past pain and trauma, we're going to be able to establish and maintain healthy relationships within us. And then that way we can lead a successful life. So she's dropping a ton of information today. And for those of you like me, I'm always learning about trying to better myself. So without further ado, let's meet Dr. Marcia Martin. Dr. Marcia, how are you?
Hi, Adriana. Delighted to be here. I'm doing incredibly well. Thank you.
I'm so glad that we're meeting today because, you wear some pretty unique hats. And I think that there's some stories that connect to how you're able to represent the space. So tell us a little bit about you. What's your backstory? How did you get from there to here?
Well, it was a long, lonely, and dark journey. So it inspires what I am doing today because looking back, I realized, hey, if I had my help at any point along this journey, it would have been faster, it would have been more loving, and I would then be able to put that much more light out into the world that much more quickly. And if I'm learning anything from the work that I'm doing with all the people that I work with presently, it is when you love you and you are strong in that understanding of who you are, and you are feeling good about you and doing the work to really support your needs, you automatically bless all of those who you are in contact with. Of course, the family unit gets the most because they are the most closely tied energetically to you. But I've noticed that it ripples out into societies. So I am just so delighted to see these beautiful ripples that are going out as these people are just concentrating on themselves, on feeling good and empowered and proud of who they are, no matter what their background may have been.
Well, and that is extremely compelling, and I couldn't agree more. And so for some of our viewers who maybe are like, oh my gosh, well, that sounds so amazing, but I don't know if I can get from there to here. What are some things that you learned along the way in your backstory, in your journey that brought you through your personal breakthroughs?
I think the most important thing, which was very early on in my journey, is that I had always been in an environment where being selfish was like the worst thing you could do. And it was used sort of as a threat. Oh, you're being selfish. And so I was always this extreme people pleaser so that I wouldn't be seen as selfish. So I would do anything to the and with no limit. So exhaust myself, put myself in danger, bankrupt, it didn't really matter as long as I could feel like, oh, I've helped you. So I must be a good person who isn't selfish. And in my early journey with the energetic realm, the first message that I received was, you're completely confused about the difference between selfish and selfless. And
And that's,
so I thought, oh,
and you're bringing up a good point, because growing up, and so many of us can relate to this, that the term selfish or being selfish has a negative connotation behind it, that watch how you present yourself, or fall in line type of thing. And did you find that this was a message that you struggled with for a long period of time, or was it something that you felt like wow, this doesn't apply, it's not how I'm receiving this?
oh no, up until, the whole 40 years preceding my ability to finally let go of the way that I had decided my life should be, because I was so broken at that point, I was ready to receive instruction. So the 40 plus years that led up to that were all lived in this false perception of what being selfish was. So, what they told me was, well, selfish is when you try to give from your humanness. And when you do that, you give and give and give, but you have no way of replenishing what you're giving. So you just give. And by giving in that way, you create dependency. And then you give until you're empty. And when you're empty, first you're exhausted. And then all those who are dependent upon you have no ability to move forward on their own. So they're sort of left just kind of lost because you are now exhausted and no longer of any value. So,
Was there a message that you had in your earlier years that gave you the green light, so to speak, to push through and embrace this new thinking? Because it sounds like you were not exposed to this growing up. So was there any type of exposure that was that turning point for you?
I kept running back and forth, dabbling again and again and again. I was actually lucky in my master's program. There was one professor, it was a pretty conservative college, but there was one professor that was doing sort of transcendental psychology and expanding beyond what was considered normal for that day. So really in looking into an expanded consciousness. And that was always running in the background, that need to explore that again. But it was almost a 20-year journey from that point to get to the place where I was exhausted enough and had tried on my own enough so that I was willing to say, okay, if giving from my humanness is selfish, how do I become selfless? And the answer was, you must align with your divine center and continuously fill up. And you continue to fill and to fill and to fill until you are full, until you feel good. And then, because as long as you are staying in alignment, this energy continues, you will eventually overflow. And now you can be of help, because when you overflow with help from the divine, you teach others how they can fill and be overflowing fountains.
So describe, say more a little bit about the definition of divine, and this is for, for anyone who thinks, wow, is she speaking spiritual, is she speaking, God, is she speaking just from within? What would divine represent in your mind?
For me, the divine is the energy of everything that is and ever was. However, it is not based or um, identified with any one particular religion. It is just a way of being, which is in connection with a universal source that is the same for all people everywhere, no matter what you may call it or how you choose to access it. For me, I access it through the energetic heart center, the heart chakra, but there is no right way or wrong way. There is only the desire to communicate with a source that is the beginning and end of all things. And this is not to diminish the person, but for you to understand you are so much more. And there is so much knowledge that you can have access to when you are willing to open to something that is beyond your physical senses.
Why do you think it's so challenging? I was going to say hard. I can say hard. What makes it, oh, sure, let's go there. So, what makes it hard or challenging for someone to start thinking in this avenue if they've not been exposed to this before?
Well, great question, because there are so many factors that are trying to make it feel weird and not a great thing to do. The first is the conventions of society. Then we have the religious conventions or dogma. And then we have the fact that you are being asked to communicate with something that most of us cannot see. Now, I know there are people who can see these beings quite easily, but most of us cannot see them. Generally, we can feel them when we become more aware. And in my case, I can hear them. But just the fact that you are bucking against the majority view or the majority way of doing makes it a little more bit more difficult. Then you're adding in the fact that, well, this is not an energy that I can particularly see. And, what if I'm making it up? And then you are being asked to give consistent attention or focus in order to establish the relationship. And I think it's a lot to get started. Once you're started and you start gaining some of the benefits, you can't imagine not being in a space where you want to commune. But getting over all of the hurdles is sometimes quite challenging.
And as I'm thinking, just the possibilities that come with thinking outside the box. What would you say to someone who comes from the space of, I've had tremendous pain, I'm hurting inside, or maybe they can't describe it, and it's a lot of the dark chapter that they're going through their own storm right now. How can they start to get on the path where they're in a better position, where things are better, where situations are better, where they're overcoming whatever it is that they're working through?
Reach out to our foundation. I don't want you to do it alone. Um, and I'm very sincere in that. I recognize in my own journey, being the one who is now helping others, if I had someone like myself during any part of my journey, it would have been shortened by years, not days, years, because having someone else help you hold the light for you while you're unable to see it, and keep you in the place where you are encouraged to move forward, but not shamed or blamed or feeling any kind of pushback, is so much easier. But let's just say you don't have any of that. I certainly didn't, and I made it. The first thing I want you to do is become familiar with the energy that is here in the energetic heart center. Become familiar with this love. This is a connection point that exists for all people everywhere, regardless of belief. This is your connection to the divine, the universe, source, creator, God, whatever term you choose to use. Everyone has a place of connectivity. So I first want you to become familiar with this so that you don't feel like, oh, I'm all alone and no one cares. Just feel that warmth that is waiting there for you.
For some people, I would imagine that they might think easier said than done, that I
And
feel
I agree.
alone. And
Absolutely.
I'm wondering what are some of the things specifically that allow a person to start thinking differently. That even if they are alone, let's just say they have nobody in their corner, that family's not there, that maybe they feel so many people's backs have been turned to them. Where is the first place that they can start to break the mental process, the thinking of changing like the dismal thoughts that maybe they're struggling with?
Well, I want you to do it in two parts. So the first thing is to understand that your connection is here and not here. And again, I did it backward. I thought that if I could change my thoughts, then my world would reflect a lighter, brighter me. But when we are holding on to pain and trauma, we're holding it in the heart. So you can tell yourself, I'm having a great day. But if your energetic self is heavy and weighed down, you are not going to be projecting out into the universe the energy of, oh, I feel great. You're going to be, and that's what you are going to use as your language of communication. So we need to understand that no matter what language you speak, the universe doesn't care. You can say all the pretty words that you want. It is, how are you feeling energetically? What's your emotional temperature? And that's what you need to correct first. So, one of the things I would want you to do is practice, and I have a wonderful little technique for this, but practice taking anything that feels badly. So let's say someone has just broken up with you. Your marriage or relationship is ending, and you feel ugly. Let's say you feel ugly. So I want you to take the ugly feeling and kind of encapsulate it. Really look at it. Oh, it looks like this or feels like this, and really kind of get to be aware of it and know of it. And then consciously say, and now I'm going to release this. I'm going to give this away. I'm going to let it go and just be in the space of nothing for a moment. And now, immediately, I am going to allow myself to receive a lighter, brighter, better feeling.
So I
So,
like what you're saying, the emotional temperature. I don't think I've ever heard that phrase before, and I can automatically visualize what that would look like, especially the fluctuating, the maybe the disconnect, the cold or the heated, obviously the temperature climbing. So I love that analogy of checking in with your emotional temperature. Do you find that have you found that women tend to move a certain way when we're looking at the centered heart, that this approach, that the connecting from the heart versus, our thought process?
Oh, that's really interesting. Well, I find that we as women are generally the caretakers. So when we are taking better care of ourselves instead of putting all of that care into our children and our family and allowing that which was us to become exhausted or depleted, when we are recognizing, when I care for myself, I automatically care for my children and show them how to do it correctly. When we are operating from that way, we move with more freedom. And so, in many cases, it looks more graceful. It certainly looks more confident, but there's just this, I get to be me. I get to be the expression of myself in its essence, and I am instructing all of those around me to do the same. And because I feel so good, I am creating an atmosphere of love and acceptance and inspiration around me. I'm uplifting the energy and those around me. And therefore, others that are going to be attracted to this will also feel that same thing. And so we're constantly helping each other stay in these higher, lighter places because we are moving in this energy of, I love and accept myself.
That's such a powerful, powerful message. We're going to take a commercial break. We will be right back here on The Health Revolution.
Coming this spring, by popular demand, the second season show on the Tour of Love.
And the E360 TV platform is saying we want the Tour of Love.
With winner of the first Global Impactor Award, Tamara Hunter, along with Emmy-winning co-host Skip Thomas.
We are going on tour, on the road. It's time. Love unites, and there is healing through connections. This is a worldwide movement, the Tour of Love.
Welcome back to the Health Revolution. Our guest today is Dr. Marcia Martin, also known as the Heart Healer. She wears a lot of hats. The biggest one is she helps others go through and heal past pain and trauma to have a better, healthier relationship with themselves. So, Dr. Marcia, we were talking earlier before the break, just the tendency how women tend to when we operate from the space of the self-care, that it's much more effortless as it has a domino effect, if you will, with those caring for others, being present, and all of that. So this speaks highly about starting from within, starting from the beginning stages. What are some of the characteristics, maybe obvious, not so obvious, of someone not having a healthy relationship with themselves?
Great question. So, someone who doesn't have a healthy relationship with themselves will often say disparaging things about themselves. They may be the most gracious, loving person to others, but they will often say things to themselves in the company of others. And I'll give you an example. Oh, Adriana, you're so accomplished. I wish I could do anything right. You know, it's
That's
it's
an example.
it's not okay to acknowledge the others at the same time that you're putting yourself down.
And that's a common one that we as society that we do. That you're saying
And
that, and I recognize that for sure.
and something that I hear women say over and over and over again. Oh, you've accomplished so much, and then there's just this little zinger to themselves. There's no reason to put that zinger in there. It's okay to say, I feel really great about myself. And by the way, you look amazing today. I'm so delighted that I can be here with you. But I don't need to qualify that statement by cutting myself down or being disparaging to myself. It's not going to lift you up. It's actually going to bring you down. And it certainly is going to keep me in the negative space. So that's one of the ways. And then there are the women that always promise, oh, I'll be the leader of this and that and the Girl Scouts and the this club and the what. And then they are so frazzled that they're not able to do a good job. And that just furthers the narrative that they have going on within themselves, which is, I really don't do anything well.
Where do you think that comes from? Where does that originate? What are your thoughts on that?
That to me is low self-esteem. They did not have a parent at home telling them, you're amazing. I'm so proud of everything that you're able to do. And that is one of the fundamental things that when I started working with the energetic realm, they explained to me, you are perfect as you are. You are not a work in progress. You're not almost perfect. You're not perfectly imperfect. You are perfect as you are. You may not be perfect for the tomorrow. You may not be perfect for yesterday, but you're not in either of those places. For where you are and for what you are doing, you are perfect. If you allow yourself to see yourself as perfect, you will easily want to grow beyond that. If you keep chastising yourself and telling yourself all of the things that are wrong with you, you'll feel ashamed and you'll want to shut down and stay in that space of non growth for a longer period of time.
I find it fascinating that you highlight the phrase work in progress, and that wouldn't necessarily be a positive, or maybe that wouldn't fit in the category of better language to describe you. Can you say more about that? Because I'll tell you, I will often say that, like story developing, work in progress. I don't see it in a negative way, but I'm wondering, are we giving off subconscious negative vibes when we say stuff like that?
It really depends on how you react to it because the language is the least important part of it. It is, how do I feel when I say something like that? So what they've taught me is to say and to recognize, huh, you know, wherever I am perfect for where I am. Now, I want to be somewhere else. Well, let me expand beyond where I am so that I will be perfect there. And I used to also say, I'm a work in progress. And it, to me, it just felt like another way to say I'm a failure, another way to stop myself from really believing that I am capable. So, my understanding from them is you are perfect as you are. You are not yet complete. Every life journey is a journey to becoming more as the divine are, and they are complete. They are unconditional love and acceptance. That's all they want to be and all they will ever be. So they,
I
we,
like that phrase, the you are not yet complete. So that just means that we're on our way.
We're on our way. We are, the journey is all about the completion. The journey is about exploring, experimenting, making mistakes, and learning what feels good and what doesn't feel good. And all with the understanding that the goal is to become more than what we were. And certainly I used to be very, very hard on myself with well, I haven't arrived yet. I just don't seem to have done anything that was worth of any value. No matter what I did, it didn't matter if I had climbed Mount Everest, it would still have been in my dialogue not good enough. If it took me 7 days, it should have taken me 5 days. It wouldn't have mattered what accomplishment, because I would find a way to make it not that great.
Wow. So we talked about the making disparaging remarks, that's an indicator of an unhealthy relationship, and that could highlight a potentially unhealthy relationship someone has within themselves. What are other characteristics? What are some more obvious and then maybe not so obvious, or that would fall in that category?
The overextending, people pleasing, that negative self-talk that perhaps only you hear, rather than, the people pleasing can be seen by everyone. Overextending can be seen by everyone. The one who goes to work and is in there early and stays late and uh, has no regard for their self or what the self is truly able to handle, and just pushes beyond any kind of limitation without any regard for their own personal safety.
And the overextension, I'm intrigued by that one. A lot of times people will say that, well, to have the work ethic and to excel in the goals I want to hit, I've got to push and power through. How do you split those hairs and make it healthy so that you're not doing, so you're producing more to get the results, but you're not pushing yourself into the ground and having consequences as a result?
You have to begin within. So, what we forget is that so much of the action that we're taking, half of it is just experimenting to see what will work. And when we begin with a meditation practice, when we are really opening ourselves up to guidance, that experimental phase goes from here to here, because instead of, oh, let me try this, that didn't work. Oh, let me try that. We just go, oh, there's the goal. Let me be focused upon it and do that action, which will further me in the direction of my goal. And we'll just cut out all of this noise. Because if we really were to look back at those times when we were frantically acting, we would see that much of it was action without direction. It was just acting to act because it felt better to be in motion than it did to sit and feel like maybe I'm not doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. So when we get used to being still first and getting the guidance, then the action that we take is much more impactful.
That's a challenge to sit. So you're referring to just being still and being in being present,
Being present and being in alignment with your divine source, being in that space where you can feel hear or see the guidance, that knowing that, it really would be a great idea if you went out and met with Susie today, and you get to this place where you're to meet Susie, and the person that you have been trying to get in touch with is sitting right there, and you had to expend no effort whatsoever because it was a synchronistic event. When you allow yourself to be guided, you are in the right place at the right time for your greatest good. When you tries to take over and drive the car, you make a lot of wrong turns and waste a lot of time.
So what's the difference between being heart-centered and not allowing your emotions to get the best of you?
Oh, great. So they are not the same thing.
Yeah.
And when I used to hear people tell me, oh, follow the wisdom of the heart. And I'm saying to myself, yeah, never, never. I'll tell you where my heart has gotten me. I have been placed in more uncomfortable, unhappy, and dark situations because I followed my heart. This is not an emotional response. This is getting into the space of alignment where you are connecting with and following the guidance of the divine, where you are truly being guided and not reacting. You are responding to the stimuli with your greatest good, leading you in the direction that is right for you. When we are responding with the emotion, we are reacting to whatever somebody said or did or the circumstance without any kind of overall game plan. We just, this one's hurting. I have to go do something about it. Working with the guidance of the divine, following the heart resonance means someone is hurting. Well, let me energetically wrap them in a blanket of pink and gold light, because this is not something that I've been shown that I need to be involved in personally. So I'm going to take my energy of love, which is represented by the colors pink and gold. I'm going to create a blanket in my imagination, and I'm going to wrap it around this individual who is struggling. And then if I get further guidance, I may go offer help. But I'm not a loose cannon anymore. I'm not running after every lost cause offering help. I am going where I am instructed to go and doing what I can do to offer the most good. And that includes most good for me.
And this is extremely insightful. And for me, when I can't help but think of, say, the emotions, and then so as you're describing being heart centered. So now, as you and I are talking, I find myself wondering if leading by emotions are more fear based than anything else, so that maybe it's a knee-jerk response. Maybe if we find ourselves in situations where we react, that maybe it's out of fear. Do you find that when you worked with others that tends to be the case? Do you notice a pattern with that, or your thoughts on that?
That is so brilliant. I have been out of that space for so long that I have actually forgotten. You just reminded me that, my childhood was eating fear for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They
Mm.
didn't know anything except worry and anxiety, even though there was really nothing to worry about. But it was the conditioning. And so, yes, it is very much emotions when they are out of control are usually ruled by fear, because that is society's conditioning. And when you go heart centered alignment, I now see myself as just sort of a beacon of loving light that just shines without me paying any attention, just shines out onto everyone. And I sort of operate in this safe little space of feeling good. But it's a long way from where I was, where everything had the potential to be hurtful or harmful. And I needed to be the protector of all other people in case they would be harmed. And I did that because I was the one of least value. I had the least to offer, so I could sacrifice myself for you because you obviously are so much greater than I am.
Wow, very powerful, powerful thoughts. We're going to take a commercial break. We will be right back here on the Health Revolution.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
Share this with your friends and family and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
We're back on the Health Revolution. My guest today is Dr. Marcia Martin, also known as the Heart Healer. She has been explaining some incredible insight as to how we're going from unhealthy relationship with ourselves to transforming into a healthy relationship, and then let that flourish in different areas of our life. And talked a little bit about the angel heart healing technique that you so fondly represent, that space, and say a little bit more about how you help others today.
The angels, for me, are best friends, wonderful confidence, and beings that are always there for me that I can rely on completely. But what they showed me is when we are going through these paths of pain, it can be anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, low confidence, suicide, any feeling that is pressing against you, making you feel that for some reason you are not worthy, or perhaps you are a deeply sensitive person and you take on the sadness of others, or just their general anxiety, or even anger, jealousy, resentment, any of those negative lower emotions, no matter what it might be, you're going to collect them and you store them in the heart space. Now, you would think, well, we would keep it sort of top of mind, but no, we sort of tuck it away. And the heart's job is to be the protector, to keep us alive, to regulate the rest of the systems. And there are actually more neurons going from the heart to the brain than backward. So the heart is saying, okay, this is the way we're going to do this, and we're going to keep you safe. So they bundle up everything you've experienced that has caused you to feel trauma or, oh no, and they say, okay, we're just going to collect this for you because we don't want you to go through that again. So when you are focused or facing that same circumstance, we'll offer you some options. You can freeze, you can fight, or you can fly away. And that way you won't have to re-experience that. But unfortunately, when we are holding these emotions, they hold us prisoner. And the heart then feeds to the subconscious, and the subconscious starts telling us, avoid that, don't do that. You're not smart enough for that. Don't go there. You're going to be disappointed. And we start just really limiting our lives and becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. And yet the pain is often so crushing that you personally going in there by yourself to kind of open that hatch and look in there, it would feel just devastating and overwhelming. And you probably would be consumed by all of the energy that is there. And that's where the angels come in. So they come in to be the buffer between you and the experience. And they are just beings of unconditional love. So they flood your being with unconditional love. And they then say, okay, let's go look at this area.
And it's incredible. I've never heard that technique before. I love how you're extremely you're emphasizing you're emphasizing love and support and just the embracing of someone, and especially for anybody going through trauma, any type of challenges that would obviously be the area that they've been deficient in, that they've not been exposed to that type of support. Do you help? Do you just help within your space, or how far does your outreach go?
We counsel via Zoom, so we are open to anyone, anywhere, and we have now changed it so it is a foundation, and we can see people. It is pay what you can, even if it's zero, because we believe that you are more valuable than the number in your bank account.
So just to be clear, so the space that you're in, it's the Healing Hearts Foundation. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay. And then talk a little bit more about what you just started. So you're reaching out, and now it's in the virtual space. So do you see some in person, or is it just virtual?
No, we've gone to all virtual because people are coming from everywhere, and we feel that we can offer the greatest help by being available to as many people as possible. We might start doing some workshops and classes that are in person, but most of the counseling is via Zoom.
Okay. So then the first step that somebody does, if they're, say, viewers are tuning in and they're leaning in and are loving the message and feeling like, this could really help me, what are some of the first steps that someone learning about Healing Hearts Foundation can do to get things rolling and to tap into your resources and services?
On our website, we have a form that you fill out that just lets us know kind of where you are in the process, what you've tried before, what hurdles that you are wanting to overcome. And then we usually set a time to talk. And if the schedule doesn't permit, then we'll offer you a group. We do this as groups. We offer you a spot in a group where you not only will get the support from myself and the angelic realm, but you also have the support of other physical beings who are going to love you and inspire you. And what I have found that is really magical about the group is that I've never had to say, this is a safe space and we only share through our hearts and with love. When people feel supported, and you cannot help but feel supported when you are being bathed in unconditional love. When people feel supported, they automatically want to support others. So it is a very loving community that you are entering that supports you energetically and now physically.
Now I do believe we have that website. What is the name of your website?
It's the hearthealingfoundation.org.
Okay. And then you have another website. Is that right? Is that
Yes, the original website, which is mmhearthealer.com. And that was because originally I was in private practice, and then it came to me after years and years of helping people that, when I was at my lowest and needed someone like myself the most, I had no access to capital. And I don't want to say no to those who need the help now, but don't have the funding. So we created the Heart Healing Foundation so that we can say yes to everyone.
So the foundation allows people so that is a resource that those who are interested and feel like this is definitely the path to help them heal, that provides the financial piece, or that can help contribute to. Okay.
And if your finances are great and you want personal, then okay, I'll work with you personally and you pay that higher price. Or you can still choose to be part of the group and give a larger donation, because whatever you give helps someone else. But everyone has access to the community. They have access to incredible library of resources, because every time the angels teach me a technique, I create a video and teach everyone in the community the same technique. So you don't have to wait for the time when your group is going to meet. You will have so many solutions right there at your fingertips that are going to help you stay in the heart space while you are releasing the pain, the frustration, the guilt, whatever it might be, so that you can just begin growing and growing and growing.
That's fantastic. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be right back after this.
Jeff Pearson here, host of Invisible Condition, where we talk about all the people who are living and thriving with all those conditions that you can't necessarily see from the outside. Join me every Tuesday and Friday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time on E360 TV.
On the Health Revolution, my guest today, Dr. Marcia Martin, and we are just about out of time. But before we wrap things up, I know that you and I had talked briefly about how the Healing Heart Foundation is helping a number of people, and talk a little bit about the fundraiser that you're doing right now that viewers can certainly learn about and know more information.
We are so honored and grateful to be able to be in a space where we can offer healing to all, but we cannot do it without the support of everyone. So whether it's $1 or it's thousands of dollars, we are delighted to receive your tax-free donation. And every dollar goes into helping to support someone else in their journey from darkness to transformational life of freedom and joy. And just know that even though you may never meet that person, every single person who is able to hold joy has the ability now to create that ripple that is how we are going to change the world.
Now we have I want to bring up another slide if we can, so that way I know that the website is a little, might be hard to remember, but this is a QR code that viewers can scan and hear more information about. And so this fundraiser is ongoing, yes?
Yes, we are just beginning. And so we are going to have this continue, or perhaps, it's ongoing right now. I don't know. I've got to speak with the people at Give Butter who are sponsoring us to see how can we allow this just to continue. But that's the goal, is just to say thank you to absolutely everyone. We are giving away a free ebook. We have one for the holidays, and once the holidays are past, we'll give you another one that just is going to help you energetically align with what you do want, instead of just taking what is. So our holiday ebook is Holiday Happiness. And it's for those of you who do not have loving families to spend the holidays with and are really dreading them. I want you to have some energetic tools that you can use so that you can go and have a peaceful holiday.
Wow. And this is an incredible resource tool for those who fit that situation. We are out of time today. Dr. Marcia Martin, thank you so much for your time, energy, and your input in helping others heal themselves so that they can grow and prosper going forward.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
One thing I know is that when you heal your heart, you will transform your life.
Exactly. And for all of our viewers who are tuning in, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button in whichever way that you have had tuned in to us today. Our website is, you can check out all the information, thehealthrevolutiontv.com. There you can share input, insights. If there's show topics that you are interested in that you would love for us to share and showcase, we'd love to know about that. And we are on Tuesdays and Thursdays, as a reminder, on the Achieve TV channel on E360 TV, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until next time, we take care. We look forward to seeing you then.